And today I have twin flames in union with us. We've got Allan and Catherine Green, and they're going to talk about their journey and what they do as their healing modalities, just to help people come more in alignment with their purpose and their highest self. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. It's an honor.
Yeah.
Thank you. So welcome to our home here in Ompah on the Canadian Shield, milky quartz crystal underlying. And we've got beautiful Tracy here and her family and friends. And it's been a wonderful time as of yesterday when they arrived here this fall. Allan and I are honored and so lucky to have found each other and to be twin flames. So
It's also so much fun doing spiritual work together. It's never boring.
Yes.
You know, it's just always expansive. It's fun for that.
So this is Allan Green, my husband, and I'm the goddess. So it's the goddess and the green man crystal earth healing center here that we have. And we have a lot of fun with that.
It's beautiful here, just the drive up and the winding roads and the fall colors as we're in the fall season.
Conveniently quiet too.
Beautiful energy. The home is surrounded with crystals and just the crystal grid on the property, and then the union of twin flame. That's like the highest union, spiritual union. So you really start to do your spiritual work together to help really shift people into those higher vibrations and get everything on the planet into alignment.
Yeah.
So I really am excited to hear what you guys do and how you help
And
people
also,
heal.
I call it the eternal mate too, the twin flame. You know,
Yes.
it's the other half of you. And so, Catherine?
So people through your previous sharings probably know what twin flames are. And from the Big Bang, this soul energy comes out as one, but then it splits. And we go through the eons of time, the different galaxies. Here we are back on Earth, each learning different things to empower each other. And when we come together, then we have that extra to give to each other. But as a lot of you know, and you know for sure, Tracy,
It's not easy.
it's not. It can, it can be like.
challenging.
Yeah.
It's like the sun and the moon, the light and the dark, and
Yeah.
you know, everything, the dualities coming to oneness, right?
And often, you know, you might go through many lifetimes with a twin flame. And actually we have a thing called a sixth life, where God says, or Father, Mother God says, hey, it can be actually fun to be a human. So you're conscious to be with your twin flame, have the perfect climate, never any worries about money, and the perfect kids, and you live a whole sixth life. So when you meet your twin flame this lifetime, it's almost like you have a rough life, and then you meet them again, and it's like everything smooths out.
Yes.
And you're into that sixth life again. You know. Really cool.
However, that sixth life sometimes is not so easy as we spoke about, because Allan can share that we have the same heart.
Yeah. Well, the thing about a twin flame is that everybody thinks, oh, they got to believe in what I believe in. They got to do what I do. Well, that's not it at all. Usually, their twin flame is the opposite of you. So, Catherine, you know, we're linked totally in the heart and the spirit, but our minds think differently.
Yes.
I like a stand-up pull vacuum cleaner. She likes a stand-up vacuum cleaner. I wear a watch. She'll never wear a watch. I use cruise control. She'll never use cruise control. She's a Pisces. I'm a Virgo. I can name 150 different things that are totally different. And you go, how do we ever get together? Well, the reason that's happening is Catherine's learning all these things I would never learn. I'm learning all the things she would never learn. So when we get together in spirit as one, we learn twice as much. What's the sense of learning the same thing?
And I think with the twin flame, the biggest thing is the energy work that each individual soul does.
Yes.
So that when you do meet this person, it's not so explosive. Because initially, if there is anything that you haven't worked on, they will show you the shadow self that you need to heal.
That's right.
And then that's where these healers come into play to really help these different aspects, heal that emotional self.
Yes.
And start to manifest their heaven on earth, right?
And Catherine did teach me about love. I thought I knew all about love, but we'd be lying together on our left-hand side, and I'd be holding her, and my heart would just be going crazy and painful. And I didn't know it, but she was healing my heart, trying to bring it up to speed of hers. And I said, what the heck, am I wrong with this chick? You know, what's going on here? And then I let it happen, and it was painful for a couple of months, and then all of a sudden it evened out.
And it was unconscious.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we all have our frequencies and energies, and it's important that we are aware of the energies that are around us. Are they in the heart and in the integrity?
Yeah.
So it's been very interesting, because opposites, Pisces, Virgo, total opposite ends of the spectrum, and God bless Allan, because men alone are focused, but then the Virgo is very focused and having everything looked after, and the Pisces, and I also carry a fairy energy, and I'm just flitting around, and it's like we'll decide something, and in the next 5 minutes, no, this is what's happening. And Allan has said, you just knock my equilibrium out, but you're always right. Because my Pisces intuition and the woman intuition usually is a little more. So he's had quite a ride.
Yeah. Oh, it's been a blessing of my life.
And then you've shared, and we all know, Tracy, that people who are a little more spiritual this lifetime, the woman has a little more masculine, and the man carries a little more feminine.
That's how we learn to blend together.
Yes.
And it's all of us to balance that sacred masculine feminine within us. So I carry a little more. I'm not the little Barbie girl, and that's fine. And he's not the big macho male.
Yes.
So we've been blending in those ways. And before Allan came, I had a wonderful husband for 27 years, and he hadn't been well. But I got into looking after everything. And Allan was here a couple weeks, and he says, "Can you just let me be the man?" You know. Oh, okay. Yeah, dear, can you carry this upstairs?
Yes.
Yeah.
How about this?
But isn't that a huge aspect to being able to be in union, is having that balance within?
Yeah.
That balance of masculine and feminine energy within.
Right.
Yeah, so that's such a huge thing that you guys did a lot of work beforehand.
Yeah.
Yes, because as you know, both of us, right now, we've been working 37 years individually in the healing and spiritual fields. When we came together, it was around 27 years that each of us, in our different parts on the earth, honing our different modalities and filling our tool trunks. So we had come and done a lot of work before we got together. And then in 2012, we know the Earth came into fifth dimension, and she started to speed up in 2015. But there's been a lot of ascension symptoms.
Yes.
And people will go to emergency and doctors, and they can't find anything, whether it's a whole bunch of emotion or depression, vertigo, nausea, aches, pains, heart palpitations. So all of us have been going through this on the earth, but then as you come together as twin flames, there's this little and if this is going on, you have to keep stepping back as the audience and into neutrality. And what we have learned is, in a relationship, of course you round the corners off each other, is to look at what works. So many times people go, I don't like that about, he does this, she does that. And what we're doing, because thoughts create, is making more of that happen.
Drama, more of the issue.
So,
And actually, women are leading the spiritual journey forward right now,
Yes.
and men are supposed to support them. Not only that, we're supposed to give some of our power and learn about our own power at the same time. So spiritual men, go for it. Girls are right behind you. Men who love and respect women, no problem. It's the macho males and the governments and the corporations that are trying to shut that down.
Yes.
It's too bad. The movement's been solidly going for a long time. It's never going to stop. So.
And I like to add on to that, because there is a lot of same-sex twin flames.
Right.
So sometimes when they say man, they mean the masculine energy.
Right. I've even seen twin
Yes.
flames with a sister and a brother. They're twin flames. And sometimes a woman will give birth to a son who's her twin flame or soulmate. Sometimes a woman will give, a man give birth to a daughter who's her twin flame or soulmate. A woman will give birth to a son who's her twin flame or soulmate. And that can really cause a lot of problem in the family, because as soon as that child's born, that's all they need. So the husband or the wife is put in the back burner, and it could be. But then the husband or wife who agreed to let that happen did it because they wanted them to be together so much that they would agree to not have the love they would have normally, so that they could be together. That's pretty special.
And we're talking twin flames, but there's the soulmates. And there's a lot of people who are finding their soulmates, and there can be more than one soulmate. So that could have been happening in that area too. But again, it's the twin flames that have come to get together, and each one of us has our own energy. But when you come together as a group, it's exponential. When twin flames come together, move over. And we've had some very spiritual people take a look at us and affirm that. They said
The energy is magnified.
yes. And we're here in service of the light.
Yes.
All of us, whether we realize it or not, we're here with our divine purposes, and it doesn't have to be doing spiritual work. Just shine the heart, shine the light, do the best. And
I can, I've been doing past life and spiritual journey work for over 37 years, and when the person goes back into their journey, I can see and feel what they feel. I've worked with over 8,000 people. Each has about 4 journeys each, so about 32,000 people I've worked with, and I'm kind of getting the hang of it. But and then we meet your spirit guides and talk with people who passed over. But one thing, a neat thing about a twin flame thing, a lady came to me who was very high prominent person in a city. She had a very social job and was head of the board of the city. And she loved her job, and she had $1 million home and a perfect husband, a perfect dog, perfect cat, perfect kids. And all of a sudden she met her twin flame. And it just threw her off the loop.
Oh, it does.
It does.
Yes.
Because you just want to take off and go around the world with that. Like Catherine and I could do that. We could just take off and we're gypsies. We could travel around the world and have no problem with that. We don't have any kids, so that's we could actually do that.
It shifts your life, that's for
It does.
sure.
And so it was driving her crazy because she had everything she wanted, but oh my
Yes.
God. So she came to me to do a past life. Went back in a past life, and she saw herself as a nun in the Second World War in France. And she was asked to come out of the convent with the other nuns to be nurses for the wounded soldiers. So she went there, and her life's all set as a nun, and she looks across the room, and there's this doctor, and it's her twin flame. And she's like, oh, and okay, keep working. And then we move it ahead, and they're actually working with a patient, and their hips are touching, and the energy between the two of them.
It's
oh
intense.
my God.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, let's move forward, see what happens. I thought she was going to quit being a nun,
Yeah.
and then, marry him or something. All of a sudden we look in the middle of the night, she's taking her bags back to the convent. I said, why didn't you marry him? What happened? She goes, I wanted to be a nun in that lifetime. And if I marry him, I'm not doing what I wanted to do. And then she walked up and started going away. I said, what are you doing? She says, I've got my answer. My life this lifetime is to be with my family. That's my karmic contract. The other stuff, it's nice it's nice to know he's there, but I'm not going to be with him. And then I said, okay, would you do another past life? She goes, no. She said the most incredible thing, I don't want to see a life where I was happy with him. Because that would throw her right off even more. So that's really, it's difficult. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
You can burn each other out too. You get together in a month and you're just like solid intensely and together and making love all the time and stuff. And it just burns you right out. You have to almost like start holding hands to start over again.
It's like you have to be in a balanced state before this union comes together.
Good point.
And, a lot of twin flames are starting to come together because of the ascension on the planet.
Yeah.
And that's just part of the process to becoming back to that wholeness state, right?
And
to
the divine
shift
masculine
everything.
and feminine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot of energy work involved, and you do past life regression and
No, I call it journeys.
past life journeys.
Regressive is a bad word.
Okay, past life
And
journeys.
just let's come back to this. I just want to share too that sometimes people are in the wrong relationship, whether there's a soulmate or twin flame or whatever. And in this case, this woman was happy. She had a purpose. It was good. But sometimes it's just not good. And as Allan has shared, sometimes you get that you can't even sleep with that person. Your body is telling you. And if you continue that, you're creating bad karma.
Yes.
So sometimes it's look as the audience, and sometimes there's star-crossed lovers that never make it, that should have made it. And there's a fine balance in there as well. So sorry to interrupt there.
No, that's important.
I have seen a couple of times too where a person will be looking for their twin flame and they'll meet them and then die. It's like their whole goal of that life was to meet them. It's kind of but that has happened a couple of times because then their life's complete.
So yes, past life journeys.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's you can find out about your mission and purpose, and as a part of every session, you go to meet your spirit guides and find how many guides you got. Talk with people who passed over. Many people have their own dragon. There's a lot of people nowadays have their own dragons, help them in spirit, and I can go on for 4 or 5 days
And
talking about what I do.
when you talk about a dragon, that's like
Yes.
a fierce energy that kind of helps your
Yeah.
soul evolve. It's almost like an energy that pushes you along and to
Well,
help you
originally in
come
Lemuria, we all had dragons,
Okay.
and they talk telepathically with us.
And Lemuria is?
Lemuria is where Hawaii is now, and
Atlantis was in the Atlantic, Lemuria is in the Pacific.
Okay.
And you know, they could telepathically communicate with us, so we could babysit their baby dragons, and they could babysit our kids. You want to ride the other side of the island, you hop on a dragon. So it was very copacetic relationship, you know, human and dragon. But then they had to go underground for many reasons. But just about everybody on the planet has their own dragon and spirit helping them. It helps you protection. It helps you, gives you a nudge or something, or some type of sensation that lets you know it's the right path to move. And they protect your kids. You think about your kids, and the dragon automatically goes to wherever they are on the planet, wraps its wings around them, protects them, and sends you back a psychic message of what they're doing. So dragons are good things.
And there can be that fierce energy too, that protection, but there's also a great love. And back in Lemuria, it was much lighter, a lighter density. We've got into deeper densities on the earth, and now in the 26,000 year cycle, we're coming into lighter frequencies. And because of that, the veils are thinning. And people like Allan can see clearly through the veils, yourself as well. And people are now seeing them, and the dragons are coming forward. And what I call perhaps the not so light was putting a lot of fear around dragons, but they're here to support us. And we have, by the way, unicorns up in the hill. And we've had several people see them. We've seen them. We were out feeding deer one winter night under the moonlight. We'd come in late from being out, and Allan says, he looked up and he goes, "Oh my gosh." He says, "Catherine, look up there." And I said, "Oh yeah, some deer." He says, "Look." And they were the unicorns. And they came down just in that little bit different dimension and were right outside, shimmering in front of us. And they've had babies since.
Yeah, a lot of people, things are happening on the planet right now where this ascension thing is so important. So people who are creator gods, who first came on the planet in spirit to help the earth get evolved, have now reincarnated so they can help the earth go to the rest of the way. So you got creator gods in human form, angels in human form, fairies in human form, and actually I've met 26 people who are dragons in human form. And even half dragon, half human. So.
And the one thing that I really enjoy about the work that you're doing, since I do work with a lot of twin flames, the empathic energies, the more feminine energies, as they're leading the way, there's a lot of past life blocks that they're dealing with.
Right.
And I know my daughter just actually did a regression with Allan, and there was a lot of emotional upheaval that came with it and release. And the great thing about that is it helps her to come more into her empowerment quicker. Because we want these twin flames coming into union, because the more twin flames that come into union, the more this ascension process and heaven on earth is created, and we're healing the earth, right? So for one, like my daughter, when she meets that twin flame connection, it's going to be more copacetic, like how you guys came together.
And when you go back in a past life and you see your twin flame, Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, often that brings them faster into your life this lifetime.
Yes.
Because you made that energetic connection.
Yeah. So there's a lot of healing of past life issues and blocks that have been brought into this lifetime.
For sure.
That you can heal through these.
Yeah. Help heal.
Help heal.
Yeah.
Right. It's always up to the person.
It is.
But it's bringing the awareness when you go into these past lives.
And sometimes, you know, too, when it's your last life on the planet, you know, you'll meet your twin flame in many lifetimes, but maybe into the last lifetime, you will meet with the twin flame, and you'll say goodbye to everybody. So you have all these people coming. Where are they coming from? And they're saying goodbye for the last time, and then you leave the planet together for the last time.
Yeah, and ascend too.
Yeah, and often when it is the last life, you'll meet your twin flame like Catherine and I, and we don't have any kids. So we don't have any emotional attachments that are holding us back.
Yes.
You know?
And Allan and I, we used to say we deal in weird, but really we're normal. It's the muggles that are weird.
Yes.
Because now that we're coming in the lighter frequencies, the awareness and people are popping and
Everywhere.
Yes,
Oh.
and sometimes, unfortunately, they're labeled as schizophrenic or this or that. We've had several young people come that, thank God, their parents were aware and awake, and
They're hearing or seeing.
that's right.
Yes.
And there are reasons sometimes why, but instead of intuition,
Institutionalization them.
yes, and drugs, all of a sudden, because this young man,
That makes it worse.
Exactly.
A lot of times.
he had gifts that were immense, and his grandfather brought him down here, who knew nothing about all this, and he could see. And we were having dinner at the dining room table, and there was some spirit outside grandfather, and I spotted it. And of course, Allan sees it so clearly. And this young man, I said, let's work with it. Go with it. Bam, bam, bam. He was just so on, and the grandfather's like this. The grandfather had no idea of his gifts, of what he could do, and now he can share this with the family. So it's pretty exciting. And he had sessions with Allan before, the journeys. And Allan, there's no hypnosis. And with Allan, you go back and you're part of it, as you saw. It's a journey. It's not just sitting there and getting a reading.
Yeah.
You don't feel the pain really. You cry a bit because you're releasing some trauma.
Yes.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
So I got to say about the 68. I have to take 5 minutes to talk about that, because you can get trapped up in the thinking this person is your twin flame, but they're not. They're just another one of you. So there can be up to 68 of you on the planet that are you, living in different places. And so how I found out about this, in 1992 they had a thing called the Learning Annex in Toronto. They would rent part of a university and take the classrooms over, and people from around the world would give talks. I went, wow, $25 a day? I'd drive from London to Toronto, no problem. And then this one man, he was doing past life stuff with hypnotism, so I went to his class. He said, we're going to go sideways and see who else you are on the planet. So this guy, James Fu, he's a phenomenal master. He said there can be up to 60 of you that are you on the planet. So when I heard that, I thought that's crazy. But then I remember this time when I was with that guy, and he said, we're going to go sideways to see who else you are on the planet. I thought he's nuts, eh? And so I said, okay, well, I'll try it. I closed my eyes, and wham, I'm sideways. I see myself as a 28-year-old woman with auburn hair, really nice legs. She's got an attaché case. She's got a Jaguar car. And she works at a cosmetic company on Harbor Street in Chicago. And I went, holy sugar, I'm a really hot chick. And so I went, wow. And then when he told me about that, I said, oh my God, I was 42 at the time. I could actually go back to Chicago, go to the cosmetic company, and look at the pictures of the people and see her and ask her out for lunch. And she would say, oh my God, we're meant to be together. I think the same way you are. We're the same idea, the same concepts. We're just meant to be together. Well, no. She's not my twin flame. She's just another one of me. And the problem with that is, it's perfect.
Well, wouldn't you would know because you'd be so similar.
Yes. But yeah, and you just, everything flows, it's really great, but there's no growth.
Yes.
We know a couple who were together for 30 years. They lived in the same place. They kissed every once in a while, but no hugs, no intimacy. And intimacy means into me see. And so, they had a great relationship, but there was no growth.
Yeah.
And so there's got to be that friction.
Yes.
Like that. So you got to be very careful. Then we came back. He said,
They were like codependent.
Yeah, really.
Yes.
Really.
And a lot of people are breaking out of that codependency now because we're getting out of that state of comfort. And I think because we were in that old paradigm of the lizard brain, which is fight and flight, so we wanted at least something comfortable. So we stuck into codependency, right?
Okay. And last year was the year for To Thy Own Self Be True. 2018, if you're not in a proper relationship or a proper job or a situation, you are bombarded to get out of it and move into your mastery. 2019 is the year for integration of the divine purpose and the cosmic blueprint. So people are going from here to here this year.
Yes.
And that's why it's important.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes our, thanks honey, our twin flame isn't here on earth while we're here. And some are adept enough to know and to feel, and their heart is just crying for this twin flame. And we recently had an event here with an amazing woman who light language channels and connected, and she brought in the light language and brought in the connection with this person's twin flame. So the person now knows and can connect more, and also knows that this person is also a spirit guide for them. So the twin flame may not get on the planet at the same time, but can be working there. And there's a feeling, not only because of that, but people don't feel at home or lost or not there. So it's to just get into who you are. Get in. This is your home. Start to expand that home. And this, like you said, you do that if your twin flame is here or there. It's going to empower the coming together. And you have to love yourself to bring in the love. And I often share, because I'm really good at helping people find the perfect mate, and giving them the information and the energies. But once you've put all that together for yourself, talk to the higher self of the person that you're asking to come in and say, okay, if there's anything you're to get together, get on that now with ease and most benevolent outcome. And now, my word, get in the synchrodestinies. Come and be, so we will meet each other, right place, right time.
And you can be a human being and a spirit guide for somebody at the same time. Catherine became a spirit guide for me 3 months before we met. When we met, we were not interested in each other. 3 months later, we knew with her. 3 months later, I married her, realized she was that guide. So that even though that person's a guide, helping you either with your spiritual path or your heart and emotions and your body or your mind and your thoughts, ideas, and choices, you can be working with one of those. And even though they're a guide, they can be a human being at the same time on the planet.
And I know with my connection, oftentimes she's guiding me as well. And telling me things before they're going to happen, even before seeing, what's going to happen with us. She'll give me a little heads up so I'm prepared for it, right?
That's perfect.
So, yeah, that's the great thing about this connection is it's 5D connected. Right?
Yes.
So you're always connected, even when in separation.
Yeah.
Exactly. And our challenge sometimes is to be able to go into that quiet, into that slow, so that we allow the messages.
Yes.
And sometimes we're so caught up in the hustle bustle, the busyness.
In our headspace, the fear, the worry, any stress, but that's what we're trying to come out of.
That's right.
Come into that intimacy, right? The intimacy within, going within.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And you do healing work to help people.
You're on my wavelength.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for asking.
I was going to ask too.
A huge trunk of modalities and tools. Basically, I empower the shifting of matrix for people. We're just a hologram here, basically, and back in Christ's time, if Christ chose, or if the person chose to heal, Christ would just go and shift the matrix. So this can be mentally, emotionally, physically, all lifetimes, planes, dimensions. So the most amazing modality I found in 2007 was Zenith Omega, and it was channeled 86 to 92 for this time on the planet. So as acupuncture works on blocks and physical meridians, it works on blocks on all meridians, mental, emotional, physical, all lifetimes, planes, and dimensions, to allow the densities, the monkeys on our back, whether we're consciously aware or not, to shift. And it can be quite quick, precise, and direct. It can be subtle in a few weeks. The guides with our direction and intention of the client and myself are facilitating light, color, frequency, sacred geometry. And these are going into all the meridians to empower those shiftings. So I'm on my knees every day saying thank you to the guides that channel this through.
There's over 400 clearings. Any imbalance, emotion, or disease.
There are 5 levels. I teach as well as facilitate. And people are either, wow, they're right on it, or, well, I'll try 1 or 2 levels. But the ones that, they all see how it works and enjoy it, but the ones that really run with it, their miracles are happening all the time.
And now have you started, do you teach that here as well as in the community? And
yeah, I just taught 4 4 levels to a beautiful goddess who's my sister. She found me through Zenith in Greece. And I just taught one in Seattle, and I'm teaching one in Calgary this week coming up.
Oh wow! So
But-
you travel there? You go?
No, Skype.
Skype.
Oh, Skype. Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
And I can travel if there's enough people.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple friends coming in November for level 2. So I will go if there's enough people, and we'll also host here if people would like to come. But I can do long distance if it's required. I prefer to be in person. And then the person after the first level, they can facilitate for themselves, others, animals, the planet, long distance, and they're pretty amazed at how easy it is. So I'm in deep gratitude. Thank you for asking. I work with the doTERRA essential oils,
Yes.
massage, reflexology,
Tuning
Fibonacci
forks.
tuning forks, and Allan, of course, can see spirit as clearly as any human. And when he initially, it was like who's real and who's not real, and he'd have to see if his hand would go through if he was in a group.
Yeah.
But then it got, I've had enough. I'm only seeing you if I choose to look. So he only looks when he does. But my guides, I know, see, feel, hear, and see in my mind's eye. And it's like, what's with this entity? What's with this implant? So Allan knows when we're together. It's like, oh, I guess I'm working because Allan, and it's like Allan.
You work together.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well,
That's perfect.
And that's
she's
one
like a
of-
dog with a bone. She just
I
keeps
am.
going.
It's like, come on, I don't let it go. And that's one of the reasons we were brought together,
Yeah.
to empower our gifts. We've learned so much from each other in so many ways, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So one thing that I really want to talk about is how you guys met and the basically before the initial meeting. And
Okay.
just because a lot of twin flames, the ones I work with are the ones that are starting to awaken. So a lot of them aren't familiar with energy work, or
Right.
they've just started to get into it. Maybe they're starting to pick up gemstones or
Right.
starting to become more aware. But then when you, before the initial meeting and the initial meeting, that's when you really start to
Right.
be conscious of energy.
I think that sometimes people don't realize that it's predestined. You know, that at a certain time in life we're going to meet, you know, and also that it's beyond them. You know, something's happening in the background that they can't work. So Catherine's late husband died in 2005 in August, and immediately he went out and tried to find somebody for her. And in September he gave me a vision of Catherine. I saw her, myself in the future with her, and the weirdest thing, because all of a sudden 6 women came into my life, wanted to be in a permanent relationship. And because of that vision, I refused all those women
He saw me at his stepdad's funeral
in
down
the future.
down the
And I
line.
went, I want her. And so I refused everything, waiting for her. And then in October, yeah, I got a new guide, and that guide was Catherine. And I called her Desiree, but I didn't know it was that. So she was already preparing the road and everything with me.
For
These
your
things
heart.
you wouldn't know as a normal person are happening,
Yeah.
but because we're aware, we saw it.
And that's the thing, like with a lot of people that are just starting, they'll look back, and since they're not so aware of energy work, they'll look back from when they met this person. They'll be like, oh, I did have some precursors
Yeah.
that happened, maybe some visions or
Yeah.
dreams or
Or even my body and my life was building up to that meeting.
yes,
You know?
yeah. So it's really interesting
do
to
a session.
hear.
Yeah.
And then I had I wasn't looking for anyone after Evan had crossed, and I was in here on the daybed end of January and thinking I'm going to move back to the West Coast because they didn't know who I was or what I did here. And a message came: if a man comes into your life, what do you choose? Whoa, where'd that come from? And it came, and I go, okay. So I answered, and I said, I choose my Evan because he was pretty darn perfect. And I choose someone who can and would like to cook, someone who can and would like to fix things, someone who would work with me spiritually, and all in balance. And if I left anything out, Creator, throw that into with ease, grace, most benevolent outcome. Next day, I hadn't heard from this friend for a month and a half, and she calls and says, there's this man, Allan Green, going to do Pastlife Journeys in Ottawa a week down the road. And I go, I just knew I had to be there, which is so weird. I even ended up he put an extra booking in because he was booked on the weekend for the Monday. I had to drive through freezing rain to get there, windshield wiper coming off. Because sometimes the not so late is looking to, do you really want to get there?
Stop getting you together.
But
yeah.
it was wonderful. And 4 past lives with my Evan and on the Birth Star. And then a couple days later, I emailed and said, thank you, brought peace to my soul. Humbled to have served you. And shortly after, a week or so, I said, if you ever come back, I'm a networker and I know good work and I could probably get you 8 or 10 people. So that started us getting together.
Yeah.
And it's quite a story of how we were brought together. But for...
Basically, she went to Arizona, and she, over the phone, I had a toll-free number, so she called me every day. And over the phone, over the time she was there, we had fallen in love and realized I'm going to move in and marry her even before we'd ever kissed. But then...
there was a lot going on spiritually that we won't share here because it takes a while. But
the morning of our wedding...
For 2, 5, and 10 years, psychics were telling Allan he's going to live in this area when he lived 5.5 hours away with a woman his age that did the same kind of thing, that didn't have kids. And he would camp at Bon Echo, 40 minutes away, regularly. When he'd drive by number 7 to Ottawa and see Ompah, he'd go, I wonder what Ompah is. But the kicker, like he says, predestined, 37 years before.
Well, on the morning of our wedding, we got married at noon. I'm talking with her at 9, and I said, Catherine, I just had a revelation. She goes, what? I said, 37 years ago, I was told, when Diana comes to marry you, your life will catapult forward. So I started dating all these Dianes and Dianas. It was horrible. It just didn't work at all. But then she said, well, why are you telling me this? My name's not Diana. I said, I know. Diana Claire
And then
Douglas.
I go, oh my gosh.
Diana Claire Douglas is the minister who's going to marry us.
Oh my goodness.
She's going to marry us as a minister, not as a maid.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, there you go.
37 years when Diana comes to marry you. And there we were out on the lawn here getting married with Diana Claire Douglas.
And I sang the song. I was a musician for 25 years, and for 25 years I was never sick because I sang myself well. So I sang her down the grassy aisle with a song by Keith Urban, I'll Earn Your Trust, Making Memories of Us.
Oh.
And so when she thanked Nicole Kidman at their wedding, and when we basically wherever we travel or we give a high five and say we're making memories of us.
That's beautiful.
And we wake up every day looking for new ways to make each other's life better.
Yeah.
And that's our goal, and it works.
And that's a deep love for one another, right? And that's the beautiful thing about these twin flame connections is that you just love the person so much, like
ache for them.
Yeah.
And to have fun. Now there have been times where it was like
Yeah.
Okay, and we know the whole Ho'oponopono. The Hawaiian, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. What is within me that has caused this within you? So either one of us, if this started, both of us, we're saying it in our heads. And
so she'd be yelling at me, I'd be saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. I yell at her, she goes, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you.
And also calling Archangel Chamuel, who's the Archangel of Love and Relationship. And if you can't remember his name, just Archangel of Love and Light, of Love and Relationship, be in here. All of a sudden, down, gone. It's like, and we go, haha, were you using the Ho'oponopono?
Yeah, knowing how to work with those energies, right?
And your Catherine was talking about that
yes.
on the thing. And the only thing about that is that you're actually connected with the higher selves of the people. And then everything smooths out.
Okay.
It's just not to the person generally, it's that.
And that's a Hawaiian healing modality.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Ho'oponopono.
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 Yeah. It's
really
a
great.
wonderful modality. A friend had shared this who was Swiss, lived in Australia, 2007 on a January. And she was here in July, and she said, Catherine, have you been using the whole... Catherine, you've got to use the Ho'oponopono. I was just in this negotiation with this man, and she was quite an entrepreneur, amazing woman. And he was all hot and bothered under the collar. And in my mind, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And as she started the second round, she said it was like the Holy Ghost descended. And he shook his head like Tweety Bird, and he goes, is there something I could do for you? So that's when we really started, thank God, 2007. And if there's somebody, you're driving, on the road, and you know they're having a hard day, send it out. Send it in advance to the office. Send it to the government.
Yeah.
Send it to yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. Those intentions are so powerful, and that's the most amazing thing. As we start to really become more conscious, we realize that those thoughts, those emotions that come from those thoughts, put out powerful energies, and the power that each one of us holds. Right.
And a lot of us are, we're born into this world with a lot of gifts. And then either our family, society, religion, or ourselves shut ourselves down. Then later on in life, when we're free, have our own apartment and everything's do what we want, the gifts come flying back.
Yeah.
And you go, where do you get all these gifts?
And
We've
the
always
healing
had
work
them.
helps with that.
You've
right?
always had them.
Doing that healing
Well,
work.
the same thing happens with twin flames because, maybe as a childhood sweetheart, up to 10 years old or your teens, you're massively in love with this person, then you just lose them. And then later on in life, you meet them. And all the kids and everything are gone, and like Catherine and I, later on in life met each other. I was 56, she was 55, and that's because you had to do all that karma work in between.
Yes.
Clean all that junk up.
Yeah.
To prepare for each other.
Yeah.
So it's really devastating when you lose somebody young.
Yeah.
But you'll probably meet them later on in life.
Yeah.
And we know too that the subconscious, the ego mind, runs the programs it thinks you choose to run from repetitive. And often there's the mind's just running. So people can get into, like if we had have got into the anger, the angst, and didn't know how to get out of it, it could have run, and that's going to create.
Yeah.
And there are planets, if you think good or bad, it's there like that. It used to be 10 years, 10 months, 10 weeks here on Earth. Now maybe 10 months, 10 weeks, 10 days, 10 minutes, 10 seconds. So if your mind's running something like that, it's like, no, not my reality. Affirm positive, affirm positive, affirm positive. So we had those tools. And perhaps if we hadn't had those tools, we might not have made it.
Yes, you need those tools.
You do.
100%. And that's why it's so important to bring that awareness.
Yeah.
And I'd like you guys to maybe share a story of how you've really helped someone with your healing modalities. Do you guys have an example?
How many thousand do you want?
Just a small one.
It was so amazingly humbling to just help with one situation.
Yeah.
Then you have many. It's just like.
Well, part of it is this home we have. The home and land and animals are healers. But people, Allan has said for years, it's the people's guides that find the people who will support them. So go see Sally, she does Reiki. Joe does this. Catherine, Allan, they will find us. And we get calls out of the blue, and they come here, and the healing on so many levels, from a young man who was suicidal, that there was an entity carrying forward from the 1500s, I think, that he had beat in a duel, that was angry, that was go have an accident, go kill yourself, and we were able to support to move that off. Other people come and go, thank you, you've given us hope. This is we see a relationship that works, and we are so happy because we know quite a few other twin flames. And I lost a husband that was it was painful. And I could have, I had help from the other side because Evan and I were psychically connected. Allan had help. His mother was bringing us together. But it took courage. Life expands or contracts to the degree of your courage. And I could have sat back and not allowed myself to get into the timeline to move forward. So we see this with a lot of people, and some of our friends who, again, were the twin flames, and we've helped a couple of them get out of that fire.
Yes.
That angst. So
we couple that are the divine masculine and feminine. And about, 4 years after we got married, I'm sitting down meditating, and all of a sudden I felt this presence on my left hand side. And I said, hello. It said, hello. I said, who are you? I'm your angel. And I went, okay, but who are you? And the voice said, it's me. And it was the voice of Catherine. So we got to the next level where I'd actually agreed to let her into my feminine side, my left-hand side. And then an hour later she comes down. I said, Catherine, what do you feel about your left and right-hand side? She goes, well, for the last 3 weeks it's been empty, but there's this real powerful male presence in my right-hand side now. And it was me. So then we go to work and
it's that merging.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of guts. I mean, but then we really are one. And we're working at a place. And Catherine's very, fast and efficient, and I'm slow and methodical. So I'm doing in the past
Oh,
lives.
by the way, he's Pleiadian, I'm Syrian. Okay.
That's another opposite there, I suppose. Well, we got things going so you guys can have a groundwork. Anyway, and I'll say I'm serious. No, I'm serious. You're Palladian. So anyway, so then I'm working with the clients, and all of a sudden the past lives are going by really fast because Catherine's within me, and I speak, and actually two voices would come out of my mouth, and people would look at me like I got three heads, and I said, okay, look at. My wife's entered into me. She's not dead. She's alive. We're just trying to work this out. And they go, I don't care. Just do the past life.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, Catherine was working with clients, and she'd never done any past life work. And all of a sudden, a person says, I got this issue. And Catherine said, well, that's because in the past life you had this and this and this issue. So it got to be really funny after a while and everything. So
And then one day, my keys are always in the same place in my purse. I can't find them. I go, oh my gosh, where would Allan put them? Back pocket.
Oh my goodness.
So now
That's
we're
amazing. Learning how to work together.
exactly
Right?
exactly.
When you become one and
well, I used to really get upset too because I never had a woman get in my head.
yeah.
It's like she's right there in the thoughts, and I'm going, oh no, get out of my head. But then I realized it's actually a great thing after a
it's
while.
Yes,
not that
once
I'm
you work with
consciously
it.
aware of it, but it's just he'll think of something and I'll say, oh, have you contacted someone? Get out of my head.
Yes. And that's the funny thing, when you become aware that does happen,
Yeah.
because that's happening to me all the time.
Right.
And the more I heal, the more I hear it.
Right.
And it's pretty amazing, even in separation,
Yeah.
that you're hearing them.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
they're helping you heal, or helping you, bring you to places that are going to help with this ascension.
Very good. Yeah.
So it's amazing.
And people who have had big shifts.
Yeah.
There's life and death situations, and then there's people who are stuck on so many, and it's never the same.
And just by awareness, you can heal.
So sometimes they'll come and just ask to work with Allan, sometimes just with me, or both. But usually we sit down together, because then we just tune in, and that's always a free gift. Because if we can open up and clear some things that are holding people back, then it's like help them and get as much in there as they are open to receive. So maybe we'll never see them again, and they can go and just flourish.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And we witnessed that with Sarah, and just the release that happened.
Freed somebody to the light. Yeah.
Freed someone that they're very deeply connected, but now they can work in more harmony, right? Without that fear energy. So
And later that person became one of his spirit guides.
yeah, and it's so beautiful.
Because 1 minute here is the same as a month over there.
Yeah.
So by the time we did the session, they'd already been a year and a half.
Yeah.
And perhaps sharing for people, people will die and sometimes don't get to the light. Because one, they've died so fast they don't know they're dead. They could be drugged on, say, morphine or whatever. There could be Alzheimer's, afraid of going to hell. There could be anger issues, I'm going to get that person. Or grief could hold them. So they get stuck, and they'll hold on to perhaps the illness or the agenda, and then they bounce off the people who are here. They can't get to heaven from the other side, can't pull them in. We are the ones that can guide them in with support from the other side. And the shifts, the energies that shift around people is immense, as you know, because there was that density or that nagging or that depression that was being sent through.
Yeah.
So,
I'll give you an example of one past life. Because when you do past life stuff, you go back and it's like watching a movie. Catherine says have fun at the movies. And I can see and feel it with them, and they can see and feel it too. So we share, and if somebody happens, well, they're going to be crying, but there's not any pain. You don't feel like, oh, that arrow, or that heart attack.
It's more of a
It's just
release.
like, oh, I died.
Yeah.
So there's not any problem. But this one girl came with her mother, and under 18 years old, I always ask the parent to be with them. It's just my integrity. And she says, look at me, Allan, I'm beautiful. And I said, yes, you are. She was a knockdown, gorgeous 18-year-old. Beautiful manicured, short hair, beautiful face and eyes, and really physically fit. But she had a rash over about 85% of her body. It was over her face and her arms. It was crusty. It looked absolutely horrible. You wouldn't want to touch her. And she says, look at me. I'm a beautiful woman. I can't get a job. I can't get a boyfriend. Nobody's going to even come near me. and this is ruining my life. Can you save me? I said, well, nobody's a savior to fix it for anybody, but I know I'm going to try my best. You try your best. So we went back in a past life, and she was boiled in oil. And now, they took her out of the pit to kind of like fry, and she basically didn't feel the pain. She felt really hot, because when there's heat in the human body, there's physical healing. When there's coolness, there's spiritual healing. So I invented a scenario that there's 4 women, because I knew men had done this to her. 4 women healing women were coming to help you, and they've got this waterproof blanket that holds this beautiful healing liquid that'll help you heal. It doesn't say it'll heal you. And I said, and they're lifting you up and they're putting you in the blanket. And she goes, oh, it feels
like
so cool.
Cool menthol.
Cool menthol. And then we wrapped her in the blanket. And I went through her whole body, in between your toes, on top of your feet, in your instep, in your Achilles tendon, in your ankles. We did the whole body all the way up. And when she was done, she was just, whoa, I feel so cool, which is spiritual healing. She said, has the rash gone? I said, I have no idea. Because I have no ego with this. I don't find sometimes 10 years later that something miraculous happened. There's been almost 50 people to work with that have totally healed migraine headaches because it came from a head wound in a past life. You go back ahead, the head wound, the migraine goes away this lifetime. One lady came out of her past life. She had 9 major allergies. 7 of them disappeared just from the awareness of where it comes from. So anyway, the girl phones me next week and she says the rash is totally gone except for one little spot on my neck. She says, I can handle that.
It's amazing.
So just one thing like that is worth my whole lifetime.
Yeah.
But to be in the present
And that's
space,
just clearing up those past life issues that have really come through
they
in
really
the soul.
affect
Yeah.
dramatically. Yeah.
Yep.
And one big one that I remember, the fellow, well, there's other ones, but the fellow had come 80 years old, 300 pounds, overweight, a lot of emotion. Everything physical starts with an emotion or a past life coming through. So anger, frustration will be in the liver, grief in the lungs, kidneys, fear, emotion, that kind of thing. And he comes in and he says, I think you can help me. He says, look, his toes, he's diabetic. His toes were purple and they're talking about cutting them off. And I said, okay, so come in. And we did the clearings with the emotion, the circulation, diabetes, cellular regeneration, past life interference, all that kind of stuff. And at the end, he could have spoken at any time. He said, my feet got so hot, my toes started to tingle.
And all night it was that way.
And he came back the next day at 1:30, unannounced. He said, I could hardly sleep. My feet were so hot and my toes tingling. He says, look, they were pink. He lived another 8.5 years, no problem with those feet. And
he would have had to have his toes cut off.
one other fellow, I was at my friend's birthday party, and he was late 70s, and he had congestive heart. And his spirit was almost out. And they were taking pictures because they didn't think they'd have grandfather very much longer, and great-grandfather. So I loved him. And I said, come by tomorrow and I'll gift you with some clearings if you'd like. And he came with his wife and son. So again, the emotional, the past life, circulation, heart issues. And when I hit arteriosclerosis, I felt a shift. And he lived another 9 years.
It's amazing.
So we can all do this.
Yeah.
And we're at a point that we're moving so fast on the planet.
And I think the main thing is you have to believe to receive. You have to be
totally.
consciously open and aware, right? And that's bringing back those twin flame connections. If you weren't aware of any of this energy stuff, you meet this person.
Yeah.
And things beyond this world start to happen, and that opens you up to really believing to receive this energy work, right? And this healing, that the power of the thoughts and our feelings and our emotions really shift so much, right?
And no one can heal you but you.
Yeah.
And what's so powerful, like as individuals, and we'd never met, we would be doing work, but our work has extrapolated exponentially because of our abilities to share with each other. And whether you're doing the spiritual work or not, you will be empowering more yourselves and all those around you as the twin flame. And again, just keep getting out of the ego and step back into what works. be the audience, celebrate, and good communication, without, the talking stick, which the natives have, right?
Where you have to be holding the stick.
Whoever has a stick, whatever it is, the crystal, the Kleenex box, they talk until they're finished. And then the next person, because otherwise sometimes you get into this So it's the communication. And we had a wonderful reading, Akashic record reading, 2 months after we got together. And the woman was so clear. She said, Catherine and Allan, you have to spend 3 days a month for just you two. We average a day and a half. We bump off each other every day, but it's not the same. Into me, see.
Yeah.
Who are we? What are our desires? Where are we
No
going?
television, no computers, no phone.
And that
Just
has
sit together and talk.
empowered. So I share that for anyone in relationship. And sometimes it can be difficult because you've got the kids. Where am I going to get the time? Somehow, even if it's an afternoon or evening, take it and slow down and tune in. Really important.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and what you guys do. We really appreciate it. And just brings more awareness to people that are going through this journey and are at the most tumultuous spots, because they really are wanting, they feel the connection. They know they've got work to do on both parts, but it's just getting through that can be very challenging. So it really brings
And Tracy,
that faith.
just to share, as you know, and many, this planet is into big shifts. So whether it's Schumann resonance, whether it's the solar flares, the planetary alignments, the eclipses, it used to be every 6 months we'd get hit. Now it's every other day.
It's so quick. It's rapidly picking up, right?
And understand and allow that, and know it's not just you. And luckily, if one of us is sort of the other will be up, or vice versa, so we can hold that
Support
space.
each other. Yeah,
It's so
hold the
important.
space.
And as far as Ascension too, we're all caught up in that. And how you'll know an Ascension is because you'll talk to somebody about something spiritual, and they get it, right? A month later you talk and say the very same thing, and they don't hear you. Because in that 1 month your vibrations increase so much, you're not on the same level anymore. And not that you're any better than anybody else, but you just chose to ascend. And the world revolves around you. It's not like you go to a different plane. Everything starts to flow perfectly then Ascension.
And we're all doing this. And one day you might feel so lost and alone, and oh my gosh, usually it's because your spiritual self has grown and your physical has to catch up. So it's just be aware, it's not just you, and I've said for years, surf the waves with ease.
Yeah.
I think I want to close it out with, for those divine femmes that have recognized they've met their twin flame connection and they're going through some of the dark night of the soul, those deepest core healings that they're working through, that their mirror self kind of showed them.
It'll be triggered, yeah.
The triggering. What was something that, I know you guys did a lot of your work before, and maybe past lives as well, so you didn't have as much in this lifetime, but maybe what was something that happened between the two of you, and how did you work through it? Was there any core wounding that came up when you guys initially came together, or anything any fear that you guys had to work through?
Well, I was a walk-in. Well, we'll talk about that sometimes. Part of me was a warrior, part of me was Allan. And she would see me fighting with myself. And so there was a hard thing. The warrior side would say, you're going to finish, go down, leave till you finish those 57 emails. And the Allan side, I said, I want to go now and snuggle with my wife. But my father died, and I agreed on a spiritual level to let him come in and experience my life, to try and level him before he went to the light. Well, he didn't like women. And he was very, what do you call, bigot or whatever about it. Yep. And he kept attacking Catherine.
Every now and then he'd come in, bam, 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 and with the fairy energy, I'd just crumble. It's just like my heart, my soul, and
it wasn't me. No, it was my dad doing it.
I'd walk down the road, and thank God, my connection with my spirit self, Evan, my dad, they take my hands and say, it's going to be okay. it's going to be okay. And it just, okay, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And keep coming back to the love, the truth, the Ho'oponopono. And I just fall in love with him. Bam! But you know, we come to experience lessons, emotions, and our relationships. And I came to experience that kind of a whoomp at me. Okay? So, somewhere that was in for me to experience. And then I got to the point, I will not do this anymore. And guess what? The father leaves.
Because he knew that.
So setting those healthy intentions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then what happened before that happened, Catherine needed some support. So a warrior came into her, and my mother, who had died, came into her. So here my dad and my mom actually fighting back and forth. It's not really us. And then finally, after my dad left, I realized my mom was there, and we let her go, and now we're back to each other.
Yeah. So the last little bit of healing that needed to take place before coming into that.
We helped the mother and father through us.
And that's a lot
generational.
You do a lot of generational lineage healing with these connections.
They do, yeah.
Right?
Got you.
Family constellation work, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's amazing. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
sharing.
And
your
Allan has a
story.
book too.
Oh, I'm gonna link that all on
Yeah.
when I post it. I'm gonna link all the stuff that you guys do.
Pastlife.Allan. And it's on Kobo and Amazon.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and it's got 600 pages, but you can get it on Amazon and everything. And you can buy it at Odyssey Books and Resource Center in Ajax too. But I wrote it in holograms, so if you're ready to shift, it'll help you shift.
That's
And
amazing.
then got my picture on the back too.
What do you mean when you say you wrote it in holograms?
There's certain ways you phrase the paragraphs, and if the person is ready to shift, they'll tune into that phrase and that shift, and it'll take them to the next level.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's for the whole book. It's all the way. My editor got mad at me. This is not the proper way to write. He said, "Well, forget the writing. Just do it the way I told you to do it."
Yeah.
So don't let the ego mind run. Be conscious of what it's running, and you can shift that. It might take 2 weeks of positive affirmations. Keep coming back to heart. Ask for support from the higher beings, the whole Ho'oponopono. And get up every day and live from excitement to excitement. That's Bashar. He's 700 years in the future. And put that out and envision your day of how you see it's going to be. And it will be created, maybe not quite the same, but if you're expecting wondrous things, we have a friend, wondrous happenings are happening to me today. And her life just turned around.
I feel like the more you do it, the better you get at manifesting too.
Oh yes, yes.
Just like anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your
Thank
story.
you, Tracy.
And your home. It's so
thank
beautiful
you.
here.
And we have to say thank you to Vincent,
Yeah.
who's helping us film.
Yes, thank you so much.
And your beautiful daughter, Sarah, and we have a beautiful Anna here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been such a lovely weekend.
It's
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah. I knew a man who saved my life once. He gave me shelter from the storm. The storm was a breakup. My side he did take up. He didn't ask questions, he just gave from the heart. And everything he had to give was mine. The greatest gifts of healing talks and time. He wouldn't take money, said it wouldn't be right. Said that instead I should pass it on. Keep passing it on. Show love to your brothers. Keep passing it on just like I've done to you. Keep passing it on. Believe in one another. Lend a helping hand till they've seen it through. Ready for this verse? That very same man, well, he died in a fast car. Left hundreds of friends just wondering why. but maybe he'll live on if we can pass love on. So remember his words, they're words to live by. Keep passing it on. Show love to your brothers. Keep passing it on just like I've done to you. Keep passing it on. Believe in one another. Lend a helping hand till they've seen through. And Rick, I'm passing it on like you.